boxer. So once I knock out Mike Perry, Conor McGregor, let's run it. But you won't do it because you know what's going to happen. You saw.
Put your mouth, fucking fool you. Backwards.
You've probably seen those crazy thumbnails saying McGregor fired Mike Perry because he lost to Jake Paul. Well, it's true. McGregor wanted Perry to take revenge on this troublemaker, but Perry couldn't pull it off. Now Jake's spreading all sorts of fake rumors about McGregor, trying to get under his skin and force a fight. But Conor isn't about to fall for Jake's traps like poor Mike Perry did. Well, if you're tuning in, you probably have some idea what's been cooking, but just in case you've been living under a rock, let me spill the beans. So Jake Paul's recent clash with Mike Perry on July 20th, 2024 was an absolute spectacle. Imagine the scene. The arena was buzzing, the crowd was electrified, and the air was thick with anticipation. Jake Paul, the YouTube star turned boxer, strutted into the ring with a swagger that practically screamed, "I'm the boss here!" On the opposite corner was Mike Perry, a seasoned fighter known for his toughness and ferocity. From the first bell, Jake Paul was in total control. His moves were sharp, his punches precise. Perry, on the other hand, seemed a step behind, struggling to keep up with Jake's speed and power. The initial rounds had Jake landing solid jabs, keeping Perry on the defensive. And it wasn't just the punches. Jake's footwork and strategy were on point, showing a level of skill that many doubted he had. As the rounds went on, Jake's dominance became clearer. Perry, usually the aggressor, tried to fight back, but Jake's defense was rock solid. Every time Perry tried to get close, Jake countered with swift combinations that left Perry reeling. The contrast was stark. Jake was cool and methodical, while Perry looked increasingly frustrated and desperate. By the sixth round, it was pretty obvious how things were going to end. Jake, sensing victory, ramped up his assault. A flurry of punches hit Perry hard, and he could barely keep his guard up. The crowd went wild as Jake delivered a devastating right hook followed by a left uppercut that sent Perry staggering. The referee stepped in and waved off the fight, declaring Jake Paul the winner by TKO. Some saw it as a moment of triumph for the controversial boxer, while others found more reasons to criticize his rapid rise in the sport. But regardless of opinion, no one could deny Jake Paul's performance that night. He hadn't just beaten Mike Perry, he had outclassed him. The real show, though, started at the post-fight press conference where Jake turned what should have been a professional wrap-up into a circus of ridicule and scorn. With the arena still buzzing, Jake swaggered into the press conference, his brand towel slung over his shoulder, and a smirk that could rival the Cheshire Cat's. The press greeted him with a barrage of flashbulbs and murmurs, but Jake thrived on that attention. He took his seat, leaned back, and the room fell silent, bracing for the trash talk storm.
Changing everything every round. There was no repetitive patterns. He wasn't falling into the same thing. He's just wild and throwing, and all of a sudden you back up, and then he's leaning back, then he's swinging from up here. So
Jake kicked off with a casual, "Well, that was fun, wasn't it?" dripping with sarcasm, setting the stage for his verbal onslaught. Didn't waste any time targeting Mike Perry, who had to sit there and take it. "Mike Perry talked a lot before this fight," Jake sneered, shaking his head. "He said he was going to teach me a lesson, shut me up, but look at him now." Perry, visibly dejected and still nursing his wounds, was forced to endure this public dressing down. Jake wasn't just pointing out Perry's failure, he was rubbing salt in the wound. "Did you see his punches? Weak. Just weak. It's like he forgot we were in a boxing match," Jake continued, his voice a blend of mockery and disdain. The reporters scribbled furiously, capturing every word of this masterclass in psychological warfare. The barbs kept coming. Jake, with a theatrical sigh, said, "I really thought he'd put up more of a fight, but instead he just danced around trying to avoid getting knocked out. Too bad he couldn't even do that right." Every word was a jab, not just at Perry's performance in the ring, but at his very identity as a fighter. Perry, staring at the table, could do nothing but endure the humiliation. Not satisfied with just belittling Perry's skills, Jake questioned his commitment to the sport. "Mike, maybe it's time you take a good look in the mirror and ask yourself if you really belong here. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're in over your head." Brutal, right? It cut deep into Perry's pride, questioning his future in boxing.
As the rounds went on, and I just stayed patient, which is something we've been working on. And normally I just try to go a lot harder.
Throughout this tirade, Perry's silence spoke volumes. Every insult, every taunt seemed to strip away another layer of his confidence. Jake's words weren't just about celebrating his victory, but ensuring Perry's defeat was as complete and public as possible. It was a calculated move, designed to break Perry mentally and ensure the sting of this loss would linger long after the physical bruises healed. By the time the press conference wrapped up, Jake Paul had thoroughly dismantled Mike Perry, not just as a fighter, but as a man. And then, just when you thought the drama couldn't get any crazier, Conor McGregor, Perry's coach, decided to steal the spotlight with a bombshell announcement. "Hey Mike, you're released and you can go compete in your silly, smelly, dirty boxing championship thing, the smell of it? Good luck, you're fired." Yep, you heard that right. The decision was swift and brutal, adding a whole new level of public humiliation to Perry's defeat. McGregor, never one to mince words, laid it out bare. "I can't continue to work with someone who shows up unprepared and underperforms like this," he declared, his frustration palpable. The room fell silent, the weight of his words sinking in like a lead balloon. And the journalists? They pounced on this like hungry wolves. One journalist fired a question straight at Jake Paul. "Jake, what do you think about McGregor firing Perry after the fight?" Jake, never one to miss a beat, didn't hold back. "Honestly, Perry deserved it," he said, his tone sharp as a blade. "He talked a big game, said he'd knock me out, and couldn't back up a single word. If you can't deliver, you shouldn't be in this sport." Ouch. Jake's blunt assessment was another knife in Perry's back. It wasn't just about the loss or McGregor's decision. It was the public confirmation from his opponent that he had failed to live up to his own hype. Jake's criticism was as brutal as it was accurate, spotlighting Perry's inability to meet his own lofty expectations. Conor McGregor didn't hide his anger and disappointment. Known for his high standards, McGregor's assessment was scathing. "Mike had every opportunity to prepare and show up ready to fight," McGregor stated, clearly frustrated. "But what we saw in the ring was someone who wasn't prepared, didn't take the training seriously, and let everyone down." McGregor's disappointment wasn't just professional, it was personal. He'd invested time, effort, and his own reputation into preparing Perry. Watching Perry's lackluster performance felt like a direct hit to McGregor, and his reaction made it clear he wasn't going to let it slide. Firing Perry was McGregor's way of maintaining his own reputation. In the cutthroat world of combat sports, respect and reputation are everything. McGregor's no-nonsense approach was a statement. He wouldn't be associated with someone who, in his eyes, had disrespected the sport and the effort required to succeed. But do you know, for all the trash-talking and drama, you gotta give Mike Perry some credit. The dude came from bare-knuckle fighting and lasted 6 rounds in a boxing match against Jake Paul. He didn't get knocked out easily, so how's McGregor gonna say he was unprepared? It's like Conor was just so mad at Jake that he took it out on poor Mike. He kept poking at McGregor, questioning his legacy and daring him to a fight. "Conor, you've faced tough guys, but you've never faced anyone like me. I'll knock you out and end your career," Jake boasted, with his words echoing through the arena and blowing up social media. One of the most memorable moments in their feud came when Jake Paul made a wild move. In 2021, he publicly offered a $50 million purse for McGregor to fight him. That's right, $50 million. The offer was jaw-dropping and shook up the sports world.
Bar right now, or maybe you're jacking off because you're sick of fucking your wife. I mean, she's a 4, Conor. You could do a lot better, but happy Monday. My team sent you a $50 million offer this morning. $50 million cash, proof of funds. The biggest fight offer you've ever.
At first, McGregor laughed it off, treating Jake like a joke. "Who is this kid?" McGregor scoffed in an interview, brushing off the challenge. But Jake's persistence and the sheer size of the offer kept the conversation alive. McGregor's initial dismissal didn't deter Jake. If anything, it made him even more determined. He kept pushing, using every platform to keep the pressure on.
You're scared to fight me, Conor? You're ducking me because you don't want to lose to a fucking YouTuber. You're 0-1 as a boxer. I'm 2-0 as a boxer. I just came off the 8th biggest pay-per-view event in history. But you want to fight Dustin Prober, who has less followers on Instagram than my fucking dog.
Jake was relentless on social media. He posted videos and tweets mocking McGregor's fighting skills and questioning his courage. "Conor, you're all talk and no action," Jake tweeted, along with a video of him shadowboxing and taunting McGregor. These posts were designed to provoke and get under McGregor's skin.
Pussy. Conor, you're scared. Dana, you're scared. Sign the fucking contract, you idiots. Jesus fucking Christ. Irish bitch.
Jake's persistence started to pay off. Initially, McGregor ignored the provocations, but Jake's constant barrage began to chip away at his patience. The media loved the narrative and kept asking McGregor about Jake's antics. The pressure mounted, and McGregor had to address the rivalry more often than he liked. "I don't pay attention to clowns," McGregor snapped in a press conference, but it was clear he was getting irritated. As the feud simmered, it became clear that Jake Paul was playing the long game. His goal wasn't just to fight McGregor, it was to build a legacy and position himself as a serious contender in the boxing world. By challenging one of the biggest names in combat sports, Jake was making a statement about his ambitions and his willingness to take on anyone, no matter their reputation.